So let's have a little chat, shall we? Let's have a little occult chat. This is your host, The Occult View. I want to just get right into what I wanted to talk about. I was watching a video that came across my feed. I'm not sure why it came across my feed, but I was watching a video, nevertheless, excuse me, that came across my feed. And it was about a woman who was detailing her journey from joining sororities and eventually, ultimately, joining or being initiated into Ifa, the religion, the African traditional religion, and then back to Christianity, right? And I found, she was being interviewed by another woman who was also a former sorority member, one of those sororities that they were in. I don't remember the exact ones, but nevertheless, they were in a sorority at one time. And the woman that was being interviewed, she was talking about her journey from being in a sorority, being initiated into that sorority, being initiated into Ifa, and then back to Christianity once again. And the reason that I found it interesting was because she was talking about some things that I found to be somewhat, in some ways, some misinformation. And a lot of it is just fear mongering and trying to convince people to not be on their own spiritual path. Now, remember, Ifa is a religion just like Christianity is a religion. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Ifa is a African traditional religion. That is what Ifa is. And I'm not here to speak out against Ifa in any type of negative way whatsoever. So let me say that as a disclaimer because you don't do that. You don't do that. And what I found very interesting about her story was she talked about her experiences and the rituals that she went through in Ifa, which, in my opinion, she should not have done, at least not publicly. You don't do that. You don't do that. Even if you left on bad terms, there are some things you just don't discuss. And see, this is why a lot of times people get messed up in in a lot of these religious groups and stuff. Not because there's anything wrong with the religion, but sometimes it's something wrong with the people who get involved in them. She talked about her trauma of losing her father at a very young age. She also talked about how in the 2000s, I believe in 2012 or something like that, that she lost her job and that she was dealing with a lot of racism and things on her job. She's a black woman, if I didn't mention it earlier. If I did mention it already forgive me. But she was saying that she was dealing with a lot of racism and some people on her job had backstabbed her and she ultimately lost her job. And that's what kind of inspired her to go into the Ifa religion. And also, another thing, too, she talked about how she was also inspired, mainly, I think this was the main point of her inspiration, where she was talking about how at that time, 2012, 2014, there was a lot of bad things happening with black people in terms of racism, police brutality, and black people being harmed and things of that nature. And in her mind, she said that from what she was seeing in social media from different, activists who were involved in the Ifa religion, including the one that she pointed out was Umar Johnson. She talked about how she started to really follow his philosophies and how he wore his aleges and things like that. So she was basically being drawn into the Ifa religion. And she talked about some of the rituals that she did in Ifa and things of that nature that I'm not going to repeat because that's not my business. But there was something that she said that really excuse me, got my attention. She said that the Christian God of the Bible told her or warned her about not joining these groups, these other religious groups outside of Christianity. But she did it anyway, according to her. But here's my thing: if if that was indeed God speaking to you, if that was indeed God speaking to you, then number one, why did you join those groups in the first place? That's number one. Number two, she really didn't say anything bad happened to her when she was in the Ifa religion. She really did not recount, or at least she did not say in this interview, she did not mention anything detrimental happening to her. As a matter of fact, she said that she was traveling all over the world. She was going to Cuba. She went to Jamaica. She gave offerings to the orishas and so forth and so forth. She said she was living it up at this time. And she talked about a lot of the rituals. And again, I don't want to get into that, but she said she was living it up. So the only reason that I believe from what I heard her say, the only reason that she began to the reason she went back to Christianity, she met a man, a Nigerian man, and she said something in reference to Ishu. Now, Ishu is the equivalent to the devil in Christianity. And the Nigerian man, he enlightened her on that. I knew that. I don't understand if she was in the Ifa religion, why didn't she know this information? Why didn't she have this information? And it's not up to the Babalaos all the time or the whatever you call the leaders of that. It's not always up to them to give you all the information. That is up to you to be your own leader sometimes and to find out what you're getting into. So when she mentioned to him something in reference to Ishu, because I believe they initiated her as the daughter of Ishu. And yeah, I believe they initiated her as the daughter of Ishu. And if I were initiated, I understand that because if I were initiated under that, I would be a child of Ishu as well because I am that's what I would be under Ishu as well. So I understand what he's saying about that. So um he told her this man that she eventually married, and I believe she's still married to him. He's a Nigerian guy. He thought she was Nigerian from what she said, and he told her, "Well, that's the orishas are demons, and you're calling yourself a demonic name. The ancestors are demons." This is what this Nigerian man told her, and he's a Christian now. It's no different than a black American Christian over here in the United States. And see, this now, her leaving, I now see, this is where the video was kind of deceptive because I thought she was going to be talking about her initiation primarily into being a sorority member. That is what I thought she was going to be talking about. But it turned into her talking about being initiated into Ifa. And after listening to the video for about an hour, I got bored because I wanted to hear about the sorority part of it because we don't get to hear about what goes on in those sororities. We don't get to hear about that a lot, especially in black sororities. We don't get to hear that. And that's what I was really, you know, hoping to hear, but they turned this into a, what do they call it? A come to Jesus moment. They turned it into one of those. So therefore, once I started to really look at the video and examine what they were really trying to do, that is when I said, now I got something I want to say. First of all, orishas are not demons. Orishas are not demons. Demons are demons. Orishas are orishas. Okay? Orishas are not demons. I don't care what. You can go to the highest level of the Christian religion, and I don't care who it is. Orishas are not demons. That's number one. Number two, ancestors are not demons. Now, the reason that they were called demons was because when black people were brought over here in slavery from the sub-Saharan parts of Africa, black people could not practice their religions outright, so they had to mask them. So the colonization of our practices and religions had to be colonized. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. They had to be colonized because they said they were demons. They said they were, evil practices. And then black people started to take on Christianity. Those are just historical facts. But people want to ignore history. Going back to this woman for a minute, let me say this again. She did not recount not one bad thing that really happened to her when she was being initiated into Ifa. She said that everyone treated her nice. She said her Babalawo was very kind and nice to her. I think the only thing that was kind of, I guess, weird, she had to be mute for 8 days in some form of ritual that they were doing. They did all types of rituals, as I'm sure that goes along with being initiated into that religious system. And there's nothing wrong with that. That is their religious practice and that is their religious system. And you should have respect for that. That's how a lot of people get fucked up. When you may not agree, but you can't go around bashing other people's beliefs and other people's religions. Because word on the curb, and I don't give a fuck who gets mad, word on the curb is they said I ain't gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that. But anyway, let me stay on topic. So anyway, she said that everyone treated her very well. She said nobody mistreated her. Everyone was kind to her. They fed her. They treated her very well. There was no SA, as they say now. You can't say the word now, but y'all know what I'm talking about. There was nothing like that. She didn't say anything like that. The only reason she left the religion, and I'm not saying that she should not have left, because if it wasn't for her, which obviously it wasn't, then yeah, you should leave. But the only reason that she left was because this man who's now her husband told her that she was worshiping demons. Well, he's a Christian. Christians think everything is a demon that they don't understand. Christians think everything is demonic. But the thing is about Christians is they don't even understand the own demonic forces of their own deity. They don't even understand that they're worshiping a whole demon, Yahweh. They don't even understand that. Because like this young woman, Christians, a lot of Christians, they are followers. And when you are a follower, you're easily influenced. Because Christianity has a darker side to it as well. And what this young woman does not and did not understand is that everything has a duality to it. Everything has a duality to it. Now I'm going to say something, but I'm being layman when I say it. Angels are the lighter side of things. Demons are the darker side of the force. But people do not invest in knowledge. They only invest in what somebody tells them. So the only reason that she left Ifa, it wasn't because something bad happened to her. She left because she met a man who told her that she was worshiping demons by, giving offerings to different spirits and deities and stuff like that. That is why she left. She didn't leave on her own accord. She didn't leave because she was spiritually led to leave. She left because some man told her something that made her leave. And that lets you know that she's a follower and that she operates in fear. So even though she went to all of those deliverance um, ceremonies within the Christian church, she is still not delivered because she has another demon that's over her life called the demon of fear. She has the demon of fear over her life. When she ultimately left Ifa and started the deliverance process of being delivered and denouncing all of the orishas and everything that she worshiped. And see, that's the thing in the Ifa religion, they worship those deities. See, I don't come from a place of worshiping. That is what gets a lot of people fucked up, especially if they don't understand what they're getting into. She got into that because she was hurt, but she got into it as a follower. Being a follower and not totally understanding what she was getting into, you should never get into a whole different religious system simply based upon the fact that you're seeing world events around you that are disturbing your spirit. That is when you're supposed to go within yourself and do self examination. And that is when the Spirit, now she wants to talk about Christianity and the Holy Spirit. If the Holy Spirit was really guiding her, if the Holy Spirit was really guiding her, she would have never gotten into Ifa. See, that's what I'm saying. And then she's ran because her husband that she's with now, he told her that she needs to become a Christian again because that would be the only way that he would date her, or that would be the only way he would have anything to do with her. So that's why she got back into Christianity because of this man. But here's the thing, and I'm not here to beat up on the woman, but I'm just assessing what was really going on with her. She was already traumatized. She was already traumatized. It had nothing to do with her getting involved in IFA. She was already traumatized because she lost her father at a young age and she was dealing with a lot of discrimination and injustice. And now that she's out of IFA, now she wants to call it a demonic religion. She wants to say negative things about it. But that is kind of like a false doctrine within, because not calling IFA a false doctrine, she calls it a false doctrine. I'm not. But you can say the same thing about Christianity if you want to be honest. You can say the same thing about Christianity being a false doctrine because there are many books that have been erased and taken out of the Bible. And Christianity is about control. She said that her current husband told her the only way he would have anything to do with her is if she denounced Ifa and became a Christian again. And there was no compromise in that. That is the nature of religion and especially Christianity in general. If you don't do what we want you to do, we will denounce you. But I'm just making a point. I'm not pitting Christianity against Ifa or Ifa against Christianity, but I'm making a point. But then over here, you said that the people in the Ifa religion, the religious system of Ifa, that they were kind to you, they fed you, they made you feel good, and she's calling that demonic. She's calling that demonic because she doesn't understand the ritualistic properties and the darker energies of Ifa. She doesn't understand it. See, I understand it. So now she's labeling all of the orishas and ancestor worship as being demonic. Well, see, I don't worship deities. That's something that I don't do. I may have a reverence. I have a reverence for God. or the high spirit, as I like to call it, the most high spirit. And even she alluded to the fact that even orishas have a high spirit that they call the one God. But then she tried to mix in her own, the same Christian cliches that they always give you some truth mixed in with lies. But what about the lies that Christianity tells people? What about the lies that Christianity tells people, like telling people that the woman is responsible for the downfall of the world? What about the all of the dark magic that a lot of the ministers do behind the scenes? And when they were taking her through the deliverance ritual when she got back into Christianity, they told her that she had to get out of those sororities as well. They told her she had to leave those sororities as well. And she was like, why? They said because that has a demonic attachment to it as well. This is what the Christians told her. But what they don't tell her is that a lot of the ministers and a lot of the sisters of the church, a lot of them are in sororities. A lot of ministers are Masons, high level Masons. Does she understand that? Do Christians understand that? The reason I'm making this video is because it all boils down to one thing. It is Christianity demonizing other people's spiritual practices and spiritual knowings and beliefs. It all boils down to that, to them demonizing things that they don't know that they don't know what they're talking about. It is very reckless and irresponsible to call something a demon that is not a demon, because when you come in contact with an actual demon, you won't know what you're dealing with. Orishas are not demons. Orishas are not demons. Ancestors are not demons. But of course, if you go by the Bible and that familiar spirits um, a verse, what they talk about in that particular verse. I don't know the actual number of it, but that verse where it talks about familiar spirits. And that's because that was created by colonizers to keep black people from practicing our magic. And it worked. It worked. That is why we went through some of the things we went through in 2012, 2014 with all of the, killings of black men during that time. Because we don't have the ability to call on our ancestors to protect us and help us the way that we used to, because we think it's demonic. Your ancestors may be trying to get things through to you, but you block it out consciously because you think it's demonic. Because you believe what a man on a pulpit in a pulpit tells you, because you believe that he's inspired by God, when half of you don't even get invited to that minister's house. Half of you can't even go to his house, but you sit up in church every Sunday and you listen to him. I'm not talking about being against God. I'm talking about being influenced and manipulated by man or woman, especially if they don't have good intentions. That is what I'm talking about. It is reckless and irresponsible to come out of a religious system. And it's also deceptive. She talked a lot about deception and lies. But what about all of the deception and lies that she's putting out? Because she's trying to and again, I'm not taking up for Ifa. It's not about me taking up for Ifa, but I'm taking up for the truth. According to this woman, she said that they treated her good in Ifa, that they were kind and nice to her. That is what she said for the most part throughout the video. She did not say they did anything bad to her. But now she's out of it now, and then she wants to come online, and the woman that was interviewing her was backing up her statement, saying that a lot of people are falling prey to this false religion. Why can't Christians just go off and believe what they believe and leave other people alone? That is why a lot of you all get fucked up, because you don't mind your business. We've talked about this before. Now, I do know that there are fractions of Ifa where bad things happen to people. We hear about sometimes how women get, SA'd and all types of things. I get that, nor am I condoning that. But this did not happen to this particular individual. We're talking about the spirituality of it. She went through all of those rituals. She went through all of those rituals, and now she's denouncing it because some man told her that she was worshiping demons. Some man that she don't even know. Oh, that's right. God sent him to her. That's right. See, here's the problem with a lot of people who get involved in certain things. See, the thing about me is this, and I'm gonna speak personally about me. I've never been a follower. Never been a follower. I've always walked to the beat of my own tune. Even if the world around me was crumbling, people were throwing things at me, throwing spell work at me, trying to attack me, mostly my own family. Because, truth be told, our biggest enemies are the people that are right around you. Your family, your so called closest friends, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whatever. Most of your enemies, when she talks about the enemy, of course, she's talking about Satan or the devil. Get it, got it, no problem with that. If that's what she believes, I know better. But the enemy is usually somebody around you. You understand? Then she started talking about Halloween and how people let their children celebrate Halloween and how there are a lot of blood sacrifices that are done on Halloween and stuff of that nature. If you align your mind with that type of negativity, then that's the type of shit you're going to create in your reality. People don't even understand Halloween. If you notice, I'm not even going deep trying to explain anything to anybody because the information is out there. People don't even understand what Halloween really represents because they go by what people tell them. I don't go by what people tell me. I go by my own feelings and my own personal experiences. Now, when Halloween comes around for me, to me, that is one of the best, most calming, most pristine times of year for me. Other people think it's a time where people are doing witchcraft and harming people and doing all that other stuff, and that may happen, whatever. But you cannot demonize every single thing because you don't understand it. And this woman did not have an understanding of going into, she has an understanding of it now, but she did not have an understanding of going into a spiritual system that she really didn't know anything about. And I know I'm going to get to the point in a couple of minutes of what I really wanted to say. I'm just talking a little bit more. Then she talked about another thing she talked about was how you had to do blood sacrifices, and she had to give blood sacrifices to her deceased father. And she said her father has been dead for 30 years. She said she had to give blood sacrifices to her deceased father. This is what they were telling her in the Ifa ritual that they were doing for her, that she had to give blood to her deceased father who was trapped in the underworld or something of that nature. And my whole thing is this: if your spirit was not in that, then why do it? Because obviously she had reservations about this all along, being in that spiritual system. But for some reason, she stayed in it. This is what I wanted to say. The thing about me is nobody can initiate me into a motherfucking thing. I remember one time when I was on Brother Panic's platform, he asked me, he said, Seer, have you ever been to one of those Ifa houses? I said, no. They don't have them in DC, number one. Or he asked me, had I ever seen a Bible hour or anything? I said, no. I don't go to people like that for those types of things. I don't go to Bible hours. I don't go to Paleros. I am my own oracle. I have my own relationship with God. Okay? Of the God of the universe. I have my own relationship. There's nothing that a man can tell me. Okay? There's nothing that they can tell me or do for me. I'm my own connection to the universe. And can't no motherfucking body tell me shit. Because I've never been a follower in that way. And that's exactly what I told Brother Panic too. I've never been to any Ifa house or Polero. I've never done any of that. And I'm definitely not knocking any of those spiritual systems. I'm not doing that. But I am my own spiritual system. Okay? When I was born, when I was born, God already put the mark on me. So no matter what I do, I'm going to always have grace. And that is how I walk around this planet. That's how I walk in this world. No matter what people may say about me, no matter what people may think about me, God has always kept her hand or his hand on me or around me. So I was never in the destitute state that this young woman was in because she was a follower and she was looking for a leader. And that is why she's going through what she's going through now. Now she went back to Christianity and now she wants to talk about, false religions and all that. You can say the same thing about Christianity, that's a false religion too. We can go down the list of all of the horrible things that have happened to women, especially in Christianity. Shall we? All of the abuse that children go through in Christianity. What about all of those people over there on Jeff Epstein's island? I'm sure a lot of them are Christians or believe in the Bible. But they don't talk about that because they want you to believe that they're Satanist. They ain't no motherfucking Satanist. They're Christians. Christians do some of the most darkest, sinister rituals, but they don't do it in the public eye. They hide it and do it in the dark. Do you know how many Christians are Masons? And I'm not calling Masons all bad people. That would be illogical and ignorant. But do you know that there are a lot of ministers that are Masons, that are part of Masonic orders? Elijah Muhammad was part of a Masonic order, and the information that he gave the public about Islam and spirituality was not the same information that he gave to certain other people in the more upper echelons of the occult. But people don't know that. But everything is demonic to Christians. Everything is. Everything is a demon to Christians. But the gag is some of the angels that they talk about in the Bible, some of them are really demons. But she has the unmitigated gall to say that all orishas are demons because of what her husband said. See, that's the problem. Some of these people don't understand. Man cannot initiate you. You can only be initiated by the Spirit. I was initiated by the Spirit. That is why I'm still here. That is why I'm a testament and a testimony. That is why. That is why I'm still here. And some of my friends are no longer here. Because I was initiated by the Spirit before I was even born, before I even knew who I was. People used to walk up to me all the time and say, you know what? You got the mark of God on you. And I didn't know what these people were talking about. These things have happened to me throughout my life. It was a man that used to work at the local grocery store, a little West Indian guy, black guy. He walked up to me one time. I thought he was mean, and I didn't really like him at one time, which really goes to show that you shouldn't judge people. He walked up to me. He saw this. I have a distinctive mark on my face. He said, "You see that mark on your face?" He said, "That's the mark of God's people. You're one of God's people." He said, "No matter what you do, no matter what you go through, you're one of God's people." And that is why I don't get caught up in bullshit like this woman does. So she can run back to Christianity all she wants. That's not going to solve her problems spiritually. She can go to all of the deliverance ceremonies within Christianity all she wants. That's not going to solve her problems. Because if it solved her problems, if it really solved her problems, why is she doing interviews telling people that Ifa is a false religion? You shouldn't have nothing to say anymore. You should go off about your business, live your life. And the mere fact that somebody in that this is what I'm talking about. This is how you know that a lot of this shit is bullshit. Because anytime people tell you that you can't be associated with that type of person, or you can't be associated with that type of person, or you have to get out of sororities in order for your deliverance to be truly purified or pure. That's what these people told her when she was getting delivered from the so-called demonic orishas, that she had to also get out of being a sorority member. She had to get out of that sorority because that's connected to demons as well, from what these people were telling her. But that's all that's up in the church is Masons and sorority people. That's all that's up in the church. They may not tell you. And I'm not saying sororities are bad. It's just another path. That's just another path that people take to gain success. And see, that is why I knew that college and all those things would not be good for me, because I'm not a follower. And when you're not a follower, sometimes, unfortunately, you don't always get the materialistic things that you want. This woman was a follower. She was making the money. She had a good job. She got caught up within the Yahweh effect. That is what she got caught up in, the Yahweh effect, not the God effect. She got caught up in the Yahweh effect. And the reason she went back to Christianity had nothing to do with Ifa being bad. It's just that she's a very insecure, weak-minded person. Just like the person who interviewed her. These are weak-minded people. Anyway, go take your vitamin B12. Anyway, this is the occult view. I just wanted to come through and give my assessment on that video that I saw because, people put out a lot of misinformation. because of their lack of understanding. And I'm not knocking a person who wants to go back to Christianity. You do what you do. But why do they always have to come and attack other people's spiritual beliefs? Because if Christianity works for you, then it works for you. It did not work for me. It did not work for me. It did not work for me. Because in Christianity, if you didn't have a lot of money, and if you weren't in a sorority, or if you weren't a Mason, it really didn't work for you. So that is why I don't understand. This woman was talking about sororities and demonic entities and Ifa and all of that stuff. But you run back to Christianity, and that religion has some of the biggest demonic entities in it. Some of them preachers are some of the biggest demons in sheep's clothing. If you want to, if you believe that the demons are bad, as in her case, because the thing is that, and the gag is that when Jesus was on the cross, it was the demons that helped him. God and the angels abandoned him. How about that? But they don't talk about that though, right? It was the demons that helped him. So now she's going back to Christianity, and that's her prerogative. But the problem is that they want to instill fear in people to only practice Christianity. That's the one world religion. That's the one world religion that everybody keeps talking about. How about this? Christianity is the false religion that they're talking about in their own Bible. How about that? How about if we say that? How about if we say that Christianity is actually the mark of the beast? How about that? And I'm only speaking in layman terms, of course. I'm being layman. I'm being facetious, allegedly. Because when you really look at it, when you really look at things in retrospect, Jim Jones, who else? Father Divine, David Koresh, and all of these other cult leaders, their foundation was Christianity, especially Jim Jones. And look what he did. So no, orishas are not demons. Orishas are not demons. All black people have orisha DNA in them. That's the T. The realm of the ancestors or the ancestors is connected to all of us as black people. And it's not demonic. Our ancestors walk with us because they came before us and they walked before us. So they understand what we're going through now more than we even do. And then when we are no longer on the planet, then we will become the ancestors, at least hopefully we will, and we can help guide the generations after us in spirit. But the trick is to get people to fear. I'm not talking about following a religion like Ifa, but I'm talking about following your own spirit. But when you have people like this person who, and I'm not going to put the video in the description box. I'm not going to do that. I prefer not to do that because I said I was going to do it, but I'm not going to do that because I don't want to open that woman up to any attacks or anything like that. But the trick is to get you to fear that. I'm not saying that Ifa is a perfect religion because it's not. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that you have to follow that. But it's very telling when she says they were nice to her in Ifa. They were kind to her in Ifa. But during her journey before she got into Ifa, I believe she said that some of the Christians she ran across were very nasty to her. Of course they are, because they're dealing with their own legions. Anyway, that's all I have to say. I just wanted to drop that because it was on my mind. And, you know, people put out a lot of information sometimes, and sometimes that information needs to be challenged, especially when you have a large audience, as that woman does, who interviewed that young woman. If you're a Christian, then go over there and be a Christian. Why are you worried about what other people are doing? And why are you demonizing a spiritual, a religion that you were part of, and now you're demonizing it when no one did anything to you? You said they fed you, they were nice to you, they were kind to you. You only got out of it because some man told you, who was Nigerian, that you ended up marrying, that you were worshiping demons. Most of you don't even know what a demon is. I do. And it is too complex to try to explain in human words. I know what a demon is. An orisha is not a demon. Orishas are not demons. Ancestors are not demons. Anyway, that's all I have to say.